You're listening to the only podcast for Texas AirHogs and American Association Baseball. This is Hog Heaven with your host, Tim Costello, and co-host Zachary Lee. Welcome into Hog Heaven here on your AirHogs Broadcast Network. Take it away, Tim.
Welcome back into another exciting edition of Hog Heaven. Hi, I am Tim Costello, joined with the Chief Justice from Legal Draft, Greg McCarthy. Greg, welcome into the program.
Thanks. Appreciate you having me.
Kind of a really interesting story how you guys, I guess, came to be would be the right phrase. You literally were a justice, a chief prosecutor in the area before getting into the beer industry.
Yeah, I like to refer to myself as a recovering attorney. Haven't practiced law now for about 17 days, so I'm really proud of my continuing recovery. Still am licensed to practice, but this is what I do full time now. How
did this kind of start? You know, I know there was some guys sitting around drinking beer and saying, "Hey, I wish we could do this ourselves," and the next thing you know, you're brewing beer.
Yeah, it started really about 20 years ago now. Really, we were sitting in the backyard of my neighbor Kurt Taylor's house, me and about 6 or 7 guys, including Kurt. We were having a beer, and brew pubs had just become legal in the state of Texas. And so Kurt said, we should open a brew pub. And everybody just sort of, yeah, let's, I'm sure that their thought was free beer.
Sure.
Why not? And that was Saturday night. We all had young kids and jobs and all that. So we went to church on Sunday, went back to our job on Monday. Nobody ever mentioned it. And about 15 years later, we were sitting on the back porch at my place this time, same group of guys drinking beer, and yeah, there is a theme. We got to talking, and I said, guys, I have decided to open up a craft brewery. And everybody all at once said, yeah, cheers, how about that? Thinking, I'm sure, free beer. And Kurt said, I want to be a part of that. And so the rest is history, or as Kurt would probably say it these days, it's all my fault.
But there has to be, obviously you like beer, right? Because every time these conversations come about, it seemed like there was some beer being enjoyed at the same time. But what is it about beer that's changed so much lately, right? For the longest time, our parents had the main 5 or 6 beers that were out there. That's what you chose from. You had your staple beer in the fridge all the time, whether you were a Budweiser, a Miller guy, a Pabst guy. But now there's thousands of different beers. There's microbrews everywhere. There's brew pubs popping up everywhere. When did this start happening?
It really started in the early teens in earnest, early 2000s, a bit before that. But it really kind of goes back to pre-Prohibition days. Back in the early 20th century, you had regional breweries and local breweries that more or less dominated the landscape. There was still Bud, and there was still Miller, of course, and there was a tiny bit of import, but mostly what you got was beers on a regional or local basis. And then Prohibition really put just about everybody out of business. The big ones survived, but there was not really anything in the true craft beer or small regional brewery business for a long time, from I would say the 30s in through the 70s. And you started seeing a few dot here and there around the map. But in the early 2000s is when it really kind of took off. It went from, just in the last 5 years, it's gone from slightly over 2,000 breweries in the United States to more than 7,000 this year. And, it's really about a couple of things. It's about expanding tastes. And while there's an overwhelming majority of Americans that still drink a domestic light lager, that's their chosen style, and they stick with their brand loyalty, there's been a big move, relatively speaking, to IPAs and wheat ales and different expressions of lagers and ales, really like the country hasn't seen in 50 or 60 years. And so that's where the traction really started to take hold. Different styles, and then more and more we're seeing an emphasis on local beer, and that means sometimes it means statewide, sometimes it means literally area code or zip code local. People get really intensely focused on what's in their neighborhood.
That's fantastic, and I think one of the things that's cool too with beers, there's so many different styles that have been brewed throughout time, right? Like you mentioned the Indian Pale Ale, that's one that actually came from having to travel across the world, and the extra amount of hops kept it from spoiling, and now people love it here because honestly it has a little bit extra alcohol in it as well too, so you get a little bit more bang for your buck. But with the history of beer, it's cool to see some of these ones that have been brewed forever but really haven't been seen in America starting to make their way in with the craft brews.
Yeah, it's again, it goes back to people wanting to have a little bit more flavor variety. I like to compare craft beer when I'm out talking about our products and about craft beer in general. I like to compare those to wine.
Sure.
Because they pair well with food just like wine does. And beer, I don't know if it has an infinite variety, but it seems to have at least as much variety to it as wine. And you can put together a 5 or 6 or 7 course wine dinner and get a different style or a different expression of that style for every one of those courses. And I've been to a bunch of these wine dinners in the last 3 years, of course, and the people are amazed that beer can do that as well as wine can. In fact, I had a conversation with a guy who's the banquet chef now at the Lowe's Hotel here in Arlington. He came from a high-end resort in Napa Valley where he was the executive chef and did a ton of wine dinners. But he's hit at the hotel now, and he told me he really wants to get back to doing a lot of beer dinners. He finds them more interesting. And he did a lot of that at his job before the Napa Valley Resort when he was the executive chef at Sierra Nevada. And they did a ton of beer dinners. So it really, it lends itself to those people who say, if it's 105 degrees or I'm sitting there watching a baseball game, I'm fine with drinking my usual go-to. But I want something more.
Sure. And what about you, though? What is your go-to beer when you're sitting up at the brewery? You're like, man, it's 5:30. I've had a long day. Which one are you personally pulling first for a nice, refreshing cold beer?
There's 2 answers to that, and I'm really not trying to divide it up and parse it out very much, but there really are 2 answers. One is, my go-to these days is a beer that we have called Haziest Corpus. It's a New England-style IPA, real cloudy, looks and smells and tastes more like a mimosa to me than a beer. It's real easy drinking, even though it's a little more than 7% alcohol. It's just terrific. I'm really liking that beer right now. But the honest answer is also, I need more information. When somebody says, what's your go-to beer, or what beer do you like to drink? Where are we? What are we doing? How hot is it? Are we eating? If so, what time of day is it? Is this sitting on the porch in the middle of July when it's really stinking hot outside? Well, again, to compare it to wine, that's not a day that I want a nice 17% Zinfandel, much as I like those in some cases. I want a nice, crisp, cold Sauvignon Blanc. Here I want a light lager or maybe even a shandy that I can toss a few back. Nobody gets hurt. It's refreshing. It's thirst quenching. But if I'm going to have a nice steak or a big bowl of spaghetti or some hearty Italian dish, I don't want that Sauvignon Blanc, and I also don't want that 4.2% light lager. Now I'm going to get into the IPAs. Sure. Or in wine I'm going to get into the Cabernets. And it's just a different drinking experience sitting on the porch having something that's supposed to be refreshing and thirst quenching than it is at midnight by the campfire.
Sure.
So there's all kinds of different things that go into what you want and what I want. My biggest problem is really that I dislike so few of them. There are a couple of styles that I'm not a big fan of, but by and large I will pick out the right occasion and have a cold beer.
I think one of the cool things that separates wine from beer as well is the seasonal brew aspect as well, right? Where a lot of people, myself included, I always look forward to the Christmas beers when I was a beer drinker, as well as Oktoberfest, right? I think those are 2 of the main popular ones, but springtime always comes out with a great beer, and a lot of people do a great summer beer as well. So for you guys, how do you go about picking your seasonals every year? Is it something that you tweak every single year, or do you have set recipes that these are our seasonal beers?
We tend to change them up. Now for 2020, we're going to do 4 seasonals, all of which we've done before. And that's the first time that we've had an all repeat lineup, if you will. But our seasonals are really 2 things. They're designed to do 2 things. One, they're to address what season is it. Are we going to do a nice winter warmer? That's Christmas. Are we going to do a fall lager? Again, that's more like September. But it's also designed, and it's really intended to address the really common question out there from the craft beer drinker, which is, what do you have that's new? If we put out the same thing all the time, all of the research that I've seen shows that we're not going to get repeat customers as often, because craft beer drinkers want to try something. They typically want to venture out. And if your brand doesn't give them something, they're going to go find somebody else who does. So we've got those 4 seasonals coming out in 2020, plus we're going to do a new release of a beer. It's a Goza style, so slightly tart and slightly salty. And then we're going to do an Oktoberfest as an individual release on a specialty basis next year. So we'll have at least 6 new beers out next year to go along with the lineup that we already have.
That sounds really, really cool. If someone wanted to follow you guys to see when these beers are being released, or what's the best way to see that? Is it Facebook, Twitter? What are you guys doing over there at Legal Draft?
We're on all of the social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We can also, or the customers can also take a look at our website at legaldraftbeer.com, and that shows you everything that we're doing. There's also a place on there on our website. Scroll down to the bottom of the first page and click enroll in our mailing list, and all you got to do is put first name, last name, and email address in. We'll send you an email every couple of weeks that tells you what's going on in the market, what's going on with new beer releases, what's happening in the tap room. And we don't sell the data, and we don't bombard people with a daily email, so it's a nice way to keep up. And I've got plenty of friends who say, every couple of weeks I'll just hit delete because I'm busy in the middle of that, and that's okay too, as long as you've got the opportunity to get it and kind of see what's going on.
And real quickly, before we get out of here, tell us a little bit about your actual location, because you guys are right in the middle of downtown Arlington. You're perfectly located for anyone who wanted to, and I've done it myself before, a Rangers game. Feel free to stop by. It's 5-10 minutes from the stadium. Yep. You're 5 or 10 minutes from the Cowboys Stadium. Really, you're 5 or 10 minutes from everything in Arlington if you wanted to stop by. But y'all, on top of great location, have a beautiful facility out there. Tell us a little bit about what you guys are capable of doing at your actual location.
Yeah, thanks. It really is a cool place. It is in the dead center of the Metroplex too. We are 1 mile from the door at the Cowboys Stadium, and just another a few hundred yards down the street from the Rangers. So it's really convenient to come over there, pregame a little with us. The parking's free. You can get an Uber, or if you feel up to a walk on a nice day, it's only 1 mile, so it'll just take you.
The early part of the season for baseball, right? Those April, maybe a little bit of May games, you take the walk.
Sure, and public transportation's getting better in that part of town, so maybe there'll be even more options as we go forward. I'm really, really proud of the fact that we have sort of provided that gravity to downtown Arlington. When we first moved in there 3 years ago, almost 4 now. And really for the first year that we were there and some change, once the sun went down, it was kind of dark and scary. It's in an old car dealership that's in part of Auto Row, and it had fallen into disuse for the last 25 years before we got there. But once we came in, the people who are developing that part of town improved the streets, put in street lights. And now we've got restaurants and bakeries and offices and work share spaces and all of that right there in our little cluster, and it's spreading out. And now when you go down there on a Saturday night at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night, streets are well lit. There's 3 restaurants already. There's 2 more on the way. There's lots of stuff going on in downtown Arlington. And instead of knocking down those old buildings and building brand new ones, it's still got that really kind of cool vibe, because we're reutilizing the spaces we've got. We're not trying to turn them into what looks like suburban strip centers.
Sure.
It's metal and exposed iron and all that kind of stuff. And when you come to our tap room, you see that. It's got exposed rafters. It's got polished concrete floors, because it used to be the service department of a car dealership. We kind of kept that feel and that industrial look. But we have a nice 2,500 square foot tap room that's air conditioned, so it's comfortable in the summer. Got a garage door and garage window that we can open up and make it an indoor-outdoor space. We have wedding receptions and birthday parties and class reunions and all that kind of stuff there all the time in the evenings. And we've had events there that hold as much as 450, 500 people on a nice night when you can utilize the indoor-outdoor space. So it's a fun place. It's kid and dog friendly. Live music on every Saturday and lots of Fridays and Sundays too. food trucks, bring your own food. You can get a picnic basket and bring it, or order a pizza. As long as you don't ask me to cook your meal, we'll be friends.
But if they offer you a slice of pizza, probably be okay then.
I'd probably sit and have a beer with them.
Well, there we go. Greg, we appreciate you coming in. I can't wait till I get back over there the next time. It is a phenomenal location. If anyone hasn't been over to Legal Draft, I cannot recommend it enough. Stop by before, any event that you want to go to, especially they do that free concert series in downtown Arlington on the weekends. Have a beer first. You're a mile away from that as well, too. So stop on by Legal Draft in downtown Arlington. We'll be right back on Hog Heaven after this.
Attention AirHogs fans, have you still not gotten your 2020 season pass? Well, why not? For only $150, you get in the gate for all 50 home games, including playoffs. That's just $3 a game. It's affordable fun the whole family can enjoy. For more information on season passes or booking your next group outing, contact Zach or Kelsey at zlee@texasairhogs.com or karmond@texasairhogs.com. We look forward to seeing you in 2020.
Welcome back in here on Hog Heaven. Tim Costello joined with Jeff Gandy from the Arlington Career Institute. Jeff, we appreciate you coming out and joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate that.
You guys are really doing some cool stuff over at the Career Institute over there. We were talking a little bit beforehand about some of the cool trades that you guys are offering right now, court reporting, HVAC. How did this all come about, and can you talk a little bit about the idea of a trade school or a different type of school that you guys have where it's not that four-year university, it's let's get you a job and let's get you working?
I think it started out as Arlington court reporting years ago with John Vecchio, the owner. His mom kind of started the program, I believe, and obviously it's been going since about '82, doing extremely well. We've expanded into other areas, medical assisting, medical office specialist, certified nurse's aide. Even we started a new heating, air conditioning, HVAC program about 5 months ago. We're just trying to, for those students that aren't going to 4-year or 2-year school, giving them an option that they can learn a skill, be very good at it, get a job, and get paid for that particular skill.
Absolutely. When you look at kind of the state of our country right now, so a lot of these younger kids are going to 4-year universities, and now we're at the point where we're going to have a shortage of skilled workers in the United States within the next 5 or 6 years, really. Right now, we already have a 3 million skilled craftsman worker on the construction side of things. How much do you see a trend coming of maybe some of these younger kids are buying in a little bit sooner on realizing I can be in debt $150,000 after 4 years, or I can be making $100,000 a year after 4 years?
So that's a good point, and that's what we look at. The court reporting is kind of where we started, so we do a lot of things in that area. And right now there's a 5,500 person shortage, basically, and that's in the United States, obviously. I think in Texas it's about 800. I work with the Court Reporters Association around here, and they're always looking for more court reporters. So there's a huge need for that, as well as some other areas of certified nurse's aide, everything in all kinds of realms that the trades really are needed by the students these days.
And one of the things you mentioned, HVAC. Here in the state of Texas, come June, July, you can pretty much charge whatever you want to get your AC fixed. And
That's
people,
true.
when it's 110 degrees, they'll probably pay whatever you're charging to get that AC fixed. So when you get that, apprentice card as an HVAC guy, you work your way up to a journeyman, you can get there by 22, 23 years old if you put the hours in. And then you can have a very successful living at 23, as opposed to some of those guys getting that first entry-level job out of college at $30,000, and you're significantly in debt at the same time.
Well, that's a very good point. The point is, too, like at Arlington Career Institute, we have a heating and air conditioning program. It only takes 7 weeks. You come out with 6 certifications, you come out with tools, you come out with all the knowledge to actually work in that particular area, whether you're fixing something or replacing something. You also do sales skills, so that you learn how to do that as well. So we have a lot of training that goes into place that makes that student very employable.
One of the things we talked about, you haven't exactly been with ACI too terribly long, but you clearly are very passionate about what the organization is doing. How did you get involved, and what made you realize this is a great place for me to be?
Well, I was used to be in publishing, and I used to call on them from a publisher's point of view and work with them on what they wanted to do. And I've known the Vecchios for a long time, and I just always liked the way they ran things. They ran things very efficiently. They created an environment where the students were trained, then they were placed in the right place. That's something you don't always get at a 4-year or 2-year market, where they actually will place you in a job. That's one of the things that ACI does, and they do a very good job of that.
They really do, and it's just so important that when you already have that certification and you can go right into work versus, I don't know how many people have law degrees or MBAs right now that are waiting tables because the jobs just aren't out there right now.
Well, nowadays it seems like certification means that you actually can do that skill. And that's what we try to emphasize. We train them, we give them the certification or certifications if there's more than one. And then when we offer them up to the employers, they find that, okay, I know they can do it because I've gotten people from them before. So we're going to put them in there. We're going to pay them very good money, and it's a win-win for everybody all the way around.
One of the things we had talked about earlier as well was you're getting out there and you're interacting with a lot of these high school students right now.
Right.
What kind of stuff are you guys doing to show some of these students, hey, there's some great options out here. You can put money in your pocket right away when you graduate high school and set yourself up down the road when you're going out and talking to some of these kids?
Well, obviously, we talk about it and we show them and we give them some data and stuff, the labor statistics that we saw recently, mentioned the 5,500 personnel that they need for the court reporters, but there's thousands for medical assisting, thousands for medical office specialist certified nurses aide. I work with a lot of the hospitals and the assisted living, and the certified nurses aide is just, they don't have enough of them. We graduate 20, 30 of them every 5-6 weeks, and they're all gone. They're all picked up, and that's great for us because we train them in a skill and they get placed. So that's a win-win all the way across again for us.
I think one of the things that's so hard at 18 years old when you go off to college or a school like yours is you have to decide what you want to do with the rest of your life at 18 years old.
Right.
And that's just such a hard thing to do, especially at a 4-year university where if you change your major, it's going to really mess things up.
True.
How much do you take into it of a lot of these kids aren't necessarily sure what they want to do? Come talk to me. Let's just figure out what the best path for you is, whether it's at my school or not.
Well, we have great counselors that are talking, and they give them real life experiences and expectations. So they'll show them, said, if you want to be a certified nurse's aide, the good position there is, it only takes 5 weeks. So you get out, and then I help them find a job, or somebody in the organization helps them find a job. Obviously, court reporting takes a little bit longer, so you really have to find a desire. The thing that I think is most important is you will get trained and certified, as opposed to you come to a university, you get a degree, then good luck, go get your own job. Not always, from stories I've heard, not always landing where you wanted to,
No.
and you still have a lot of college bills to pay.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, if you still might have to get a certification, right? Just
Right.
because you graduate
Right.
with a degree in education, you still got to go get that teacher certification.
You
at the
do
end of
have
the
to
day.
go get another certification. Yeah, that's true. So,
Well, this is really a ton of eye-opening stuff. We really appreciate everything you're telling us here. If someone wanted to get in touch with you specifically, they're liking what they hear, they're like, man, that sounds really interesting. What's the best way to reach out to you and maybe set a time up to come talk and see if ACI is a great place for that?
the best part is probably to go to our website, www.arlingtoncareerinstitute.edu. Sorry, that's long. Or you can just call me at 214-677-7623. Be happy to talk to you or put you in contact with the right person.
Well, Jeff, we appreciate your time here on Hog Heaven. We're going to take a quick break right here. When we come back, we will be back in Hog Heaven. We'll be right back after this.
Attention AirHogs fans, have you still not gotten your 2020 season pass? Well, why not? For only $150, you get in the gate for all 50 home games, including playoffs. That's just $3 a game. It's affordable fun the whole family can enjoy. For more information on season passes or booking your next group outing, contact Zach or Kelsey at zlee@texasairhogs.com or karmond@texasairhogs.com. We look forward to seeing you in 2020.
And we are back here in Hog Heaven. Tim Costello joined with the Assistant General Manager for your Texas AirHogs, Justin Terry. Justin, welcome in on the program.
Thanks for having me, Tim.
It's our pleasure, Justin. One of the great things about working not only in baseball but with this AirHogs team in particular is everybody here has some sort of story of how they got here, right? Not only do we all love the game of baseball, but it seems like between especially myself, Nate, and you, we've traveled a bit of a road to get here. Talk a little bit about your path, your road. How did you end up in the seat that you're in today?
I started working in baseball in college. I was working with the TCU baseball team. They're in the athletics department, working with them with media relations pretty much particularly. And then after that, I graduated and started, I wanted to coach and teach, but I really didn't like the teaching part of the aspect of it, so I stopped doing that. And then went into the restaurant business for about 5 years, and while I got my master's in sports management. And after I got my master's in sports management, I took a game day internship with the Midland Rockhounds, the AA affiliate of the Oakland A's, and worked there for a summer. Got hired on with the Cardinals Marlins spring training facility, Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida. Worked 2 years there, and then came here to DFW and got hired on here. And a year and a half later, here I am, assistant GM.
So you've seen really three different levels now of professional baseball. Talk about some of the differences you've seen, say, between AA baseball, between a spring training facility, which also doubles as a minor league facility as the season rolls on, and then what we do here with the AirHogs in independent ball.
Yeah, it's real different. I mean, when you get with the affiliated ball, you see a lot of more people are trying to manage the team. You'll see a pitcher go out there and he might have a no-hitter going in the sixth and get pulled after 85 pitches because he's on a pitch count. Things like that. They're really trying to manage the players and develop them to get them to the next level. Where here, these guys are trying to play to get back into that affiliated developmental ball. And so that's the biggest difference I've seen. They're more trying to manage and develop them there. Here, we're trying to get them back into that development system.
Seems like one of the cool things for you as well has been, after your time with affiliate baseball, with spring training, you've seen several guys already in this American Association before they came to the league. What's it been like to see some of them come through again? Do they remember you? Or are you having to show them a picture and say, no, I did know you a few years ago? Or what's it been like?
I mean, it's been pretty cool to see some of the guys that have been in there. I mean, Jeremy Martinez, the catcher for the St. Paul Saints, him and I hung out quite a bit when we were in Florida. So, seeing him again, then seeing him when I went up to the All-Star game, we got to hang out a little bit. Leobaldo Pena, me and him hung out a little bit in Jupiter. Just some of those guys that you see here, Landon Beck, see him pitch every day when you're in Palm Beach. Just some of those guys, it's good to see that they're still playing ball and they're doing quite well here as being all-stars here. But it'd be great to see them go back into that affiliated ball.
I mean, that obviously is the goal for everybody who comes here. Maybe really accept what the Chinese do when they get here. Their goal, obviously, a little bit different. How would you assess what the AirHogs have done with Team China these last 2 years? What are you looking forward to with year three with our partnership with China?
Yeah, I mean, that first year, none of us knew what we were, getting into or anything. And, they brought a lot of those older guys over and, they were good players. And we started to roll there at the end. But once they kind of reset the second year, it was kind of starting over.
Sure.
We started over. But that second half of our season was great. I mean, when we run eight in a row here at home, you kind of saw that they were developing into better players day in and day out. Where at the end of the year, we're playing, Zhang Tao's pitching no hitters into the eighth inning.
Twice.
Yeah,
right?
Twice. He was what, pitcher of the week or?
Pitcher of the week and back-to-back weeks to close out the league.
So, just things like that. You can see them developing and getting better. So I see if we bring that group back that just got third over in the Asian Games and is going on to, qualify for the Olympics, if we bring those guys back, I think we can have a pretty good team next year.
Did you see a difference in coachability maybe between some of the older players from China that had really kind of been doing things the same way for a long time versus this group from 2019? You mentioned they were a lot younger. They were very coachable, and they really kind of seemed to flow to Coach Bando and his methods as the season went on.
Yeah, absolutely. Bando did great things with those guys. He worked them pretty hard at the beginning, and you could tell, but it also got them better towards the end of the year. Once they started understanding what they were supposed to do. Chen Jun Pong, he wasn't doing anything at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year, he was hitting for power. He was driving runs in. He was actually a decent first baseman in this league. Probably one of the top 5.
And that's really saying something, considering our most valuable player was the first baseman from Chicago who set a record in home runs this season. Not to mention Shoemaker, the first baseman for St. Paul, makes the postseason All-Star team as a DH technically. So there was some really big first base talent in this league.
Oh, there is for sure. But Chen Jun Pong, he's young, and he could be just as good as they are when he's their age.
When you look forward to 2020, what are you looking at as far as, where can the AirHogs get better? I think what helped this team so much in the second half was we had a bullpen. From the seventh, if we had a lead in the seventh inning, you felt pretty good going Contreras, Eibner, Matzik. Where do you see this team shaping up bullpen-wise maybe to start the year in 2020?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if any of those guys are coming back. Probably not one of them.
Matzik realistically is a Brave right now.
Matzik is a Brave. Eibner went on to the Atlantic League and pitched there, for Sugar Land. And Carlos, you never know about Carlos. You never know if he's going to come back or not. But, I mean, I think if Travis Ballou didn't start at all in his career until last year. He's a bullpen guy. And
I think if he's your seventh inning guy,
that's a really good one. He can be a seventh inning guy. Exactly, he can. We just got to go out and, Billy Martin needs to go out and find that eighth and ninth guy again.
I think between me and you, I think you move Pete Perez into the starting rotation. I think he showed numerous times he's got a good sinking ground ball, can eat up innings with good defense like the AirHogs play behind him. He can be successful. And I think maybe I move Zach Lamond out of the starting rotation into the bullpen. He's realistically been a reliever for most of his career as well. But that's one of the things with independent baseball is all those guys who have been relievers in the affiliated leagues want to show I can start. I never got that opportunity to do so. It doesn't always pay off for everybody.
Right. I mean, and, realistically, some of them aren't starters. They find that out quick. They need to understand that they have a role, and if they want to get back into affiliated ball, try to get back in the role that you were in affiliated ball. That's probably your best route. If starting's not working out for you, you might as well go into the, that role. Like Eibner. Eibner played in the outfield.
As a major leaguer.
As a major leaguer. But he wanted to pitch, and he was a very good pitcher for us, hitting 96, 97.
And that's what's tough with baseball, right, is everybody growing up didn't specialize, right? When you played Little League, you pitched an inning, then you went and played the outfield, then you went and played third base, then you get to pony, maybe I'm more of an infielder and a pitcher. Then in high school, I'm a first baseman and a pitcher, but you're still doing both for the most part, literally through college. And then once you get through with college, you're pretty much told you're a pitcher or you're a hitter. You're no longer both. And for someone like Brett Eibner specifically, who he feels he could pitch at the major league level, and he's shown you he can make it to the major league level as a hitter. So why are we short-sighting this guy? And it's good to see him get the chance to do something he knows he can do at that level.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen it numerous times. The Cardinals do this numerous times where one guy that they draft real young might go through the system and reach AAA as an outfielder. Like, oh, you're not going to make it as a major leaguer. Let's start you all the way back over and make you a pitcher. And they become major league talent pitchers.
Sure.
I
think you see that one more often, right? You see the guy who had a cannon for an arm, they'll transition you to pitcher. The one you don't see very often, but also the Cardinals made famous as well, was the Rick Ankiel, where you get to the big leagues, can't find the strike zone anymore, and you say, I used to be a pretty good hitter, let me try and do that again, and able to do that. That one's a lot more rare.
Yeah, very much more rare. Usually a good outfielder has a good arm if you're playing in the AAA, AA level. So they usually can throw. Probably pitched before in their life too.
One of the things that probably has to be tougher for you, Justin, now that you're higher up, especially in the organization, has to be how you interact with the players, right? When you were in Midland, when you were with the Rockhounds, or when you were in the Cardinals organization in spring training, you could interact, you could go hang out with those players a little bit more. Do you find yourself kind of having to take a step back now at this point and say, I really can't go out and celebrate this win with you anymore tonight?
Yeah, it's a little different. When you're in that higher up position, you kind of want to step back and look more on the business side of things. What's going to look better? Is it going to look better, if you're going home at the end of the night with your family, or is it better if you're out partying with the players all night? And it's obviously you don't want to go out partying with the players all night. It's just not good for business.
Let's talk a little bit about the business that is the AirHogs here, because you're one of the people who really kind of changed what we do on the field during the game from 2018 through 2019, and really looking forward to 2022. What were some of the changes we made last year that you were really excited about, and what are some things you're looking forward to adding on to the excitement value here in the stadium for 2020?
Yeah, just more on-field games. We need more people involved when they come out here for their group experience. When we book a group here, we want it to be an experience, just like St. Paul. When you go to St. Paul, they have entertainment throughout the whole stands. That's what we want to do here at AirHogs Stadium. You know, we want to build it to where the fans are entertained from the moment they walk through that gate to the moment they walk back out that gate. You know, we want them to be entertained, not just on the field with baseball, but with the in-between innings and everything as well.
And I can't agree with you more. St. Paul, obviously one of my favorite stops this season. They had just stuff going all over the place, but it's not just St. Paul in the league. I think a lot of the teams do a great job with it out there as well. Chicago, I know you got a chance to go visit them. And I hope you get a chance to go visit Lincoln, because I think those are three that really do a great job, and that we're not necessarily trying to model ourselves after, but when you look at guys who do things great, you can say, hey, here's a great example there. Let's try and do something like that as well.
Well, absolutely. I mean, like you just mentioned, Lincoln does a really great job. I mean, Charlie's been in the business for 20 years, you know, Lincoln's GM, and he knows how to put on a good show. You know, he knows that, yeah, baseball is why we're here, and he puts a good team together, but he also knows that the entertainment part is what brings the fans back night in and night out.
Absolutely right. One of the cool things about the American Association is the growth that we're experiencing right now. You see some of these other independent leagues that really aren't doing very well right now. You know, the Frontier League and the Can-Am League just had to merge to continue that partnership, and then the Atlantic League is down a team now. They're going to be having an all-travel team next year. And then you look here at the American Association, we've added 2 teams in the last 2 years, and we're looking at more here in the future. What's going so right when you guys go up to these meetings here in the American Association?
I think the one thing that's going right is that everybody's on the same page. They want to grow the American Association and make it one of the best independent leagues in America. You know, they want to get better than the Atlantic League. They want to get better than the Can-Am League. You know, they want to be at the top. You know, right now I think it's Atlantic League, American Association as far as talent goes.
I think it's a 1 and a 1A, though. I think it's very, very close.
It's very, very close, and I think in a year or two we'll probably pass them.
Sure.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I mean, with St. Paul in our league, it puts us close to the top just because of the name brand. And then you get these other guys, you know, Winnipeg, Lincoln, you know, all these guys that have been around forever and know what they're doing.
How much do you think having these independent teams in bigger markets helps the American Association? I feel like a lot of other independent leagues don't always go after the big markets. They want to go after the small cities that don't have another professional team. Whereas you look at this league, you know, we're in the DFW Metroplex. There's a team in Chicago. There's a team in Milwaukee. There's a team in Kansas City. There's a team in St. Paul. These are all pretty major markets.
I mean, they are major markets. I mean, DFW and Chicago being the 2 biggest ones, obviously.
But all other major league markets as well.
They're all major league markets, and it's, you know, it's interesting to see that you would dive into those things. But, you know, there's so many people in these metroplexes that you can draw from them.
Sure.
You can absolutely draw from them, and, you know, they're not gonna, you can't fit 1.2 million people in Ranger Stadium. You know, that's how many people, you know, there's that or more here in the DFW Metroplex alone.
Probably 1.2 million baseball fans at least in the area.
At least. So, I mean, they have to go watch their baseball somewhere. And with all the minor league teams around here in the DFW and probably growing more here in a few years, I feel like baseball is going to be the sport to be watching here in DFW.
I really agree with you, and especially we're reading all these reports that affiliated baseball could be trimmed down a little bit. That's only going to lead to better quality players making their way into the independent leagues a little bit earlier in their career than maybe they would have earlier. With the way the American Association is going right now, with the way affiliated baseball is going, I think the American Association is really on this nice path upwards, and they're going to continue to do so based on what affiliated ball is going to do realistically.
Yeah, I mean, if they cut, you know, the 41 rookie league teams, those are all the teams that those college guys, you know, the 4th, 5th year seniors that didn't get drafted after their junior year or didn't get drafted after high school are going to go. They're going to go to us. They might still be good, you know, but that's just where they're going to find homes here and probably get signed back into affiliated ball once they see that they can play.
There was a time early on in baseball's history where the independent minor league pretty much ran the way minor leagues work. The teams with the most money could go buy the best prospects from the best independent teams, and that's how the Yankees essentially became the Yankees in the 30s and 40s. As baseball grew and it was collectively bargained, you had more and more affiliated baseball in the minors to try and make it more fair. But it seems to me like we might be heading towards a place where people are going to spend a lot more money on the undrafted free agent coming from independent baseball again very soon.
Yeah, it could be that way. I mean, it could be, we might see more Scherzers, where they might not be getting their money and they might come to independent leagues for a few months and go back into the route of affiliated ball. We might see more, like I said, fifth-year seniors that got overlooked, early in their career and show that they can play and start shelling out that money to get those guys.
Well, Justin, we appreciate it. As always, when anyone can come on Hog Heaven, we appreciate their time. Also, a big thank you to Greg McCarthy, who joined us from Legal Draft, and Jeff Gandy, who joined us from the Arlington Career Institute. All in all, I think it's been a really fun episode of Hog Heaven. Again, we thank Justin Terry, the Assistant General Manager here from your Texas AirHogs, for joining us on our program today. We'll be back next week with another fantastic edition of Hog Heaven.